call this September 28th meeting of the Utility Service Board to order. Before we go on with the agenda, we need to take a moment to consider amending the agenda. There's been a request to remove item number 6, which is the memorandum of understanding that we were going to consider with planning and transportation, to remove that because it's not quite ready to go yet, and instead add as item number 6, the new item number 6, a bid opening for the residual basin improvement project at the Monroe Treatment Plant. So is there a motion to approve this amended agenda?
So move.
Second.
All right. Latrina, can you please call the roll?
Roberts,
Yes.
Kapler,
Yes.
Bannock,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Parmenter.
Yes.
Okay. Our agenda is amended. So next item is approval of the minutes from our September 14th meeting. Are there any changes or discussion about the minutes? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
All right, and Latrina, please call the roll.
Sherman,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Kapler,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Bannock.
Yes.
Okay, minutes are approved. Next up is approval of the claims. First item is the standard invoices in the amount of $1,103,513.09. Are there any questions or comments about invoices? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to approve the invoices?
So move.
Second.
All right, Latrina?
Bannock,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Burnham, yes, Kapler.
Yes. All right, invoices are approved. Next up, utility bills in the amount of $17,414.01. And are there any questions about utility bills? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Latrina?
Parmenter,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Kapler,
Yes.
Bannock,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Sherman.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Next up, wire transfers in the amount of $365,883.18. Any questions on wire transfers, comments? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
All right, and Latrina?
Kapler,
Yes.
Bannock,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Wire transfers are approved. Last item under claims is the customer refunds in the amount of $783.73. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve refunds?
So move.
Second.
And Latrina, please call the roll.
Bannock,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Kapler,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Sherman.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Customer refunds are approved. Next up is the approval of the consent agenda, and I'll turn this over to Vic Telson. Oh, and Vic, you're muted.
I noticed that there. Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here tonight with the consent agenda, which totals $11,953.25. The first item is to Precision Quality Contracting, which is $1,815.25 to install Cat6 cable from the exterior to interior of the service center for security camera. CR Construction, $4,685 to repair the roof at Monroe. And replace a roof door also. And CR Construction, $4,953 for replacement of 2 metal doors at the Monroe plant. And finally, Brown Soil Consulting LLC, that's $500 for inspection and sampling of soil in preparation of a new septic field also at Monroe. Are there any of these items that board members would like to consider separately? Hearing none, if there's no opposition, these will be approved as recommended by staff. I hear no opposition, so these items are approved. Thank you.
Thanks, Dick. All right, item number 5, request for approval of proposed language for Title 10, Section 17 of the Bloomington Municipal Code. And I'll turn this over to James Hall, please.
Thank you. James Hall, CBU Environmental. I'm not sure how Chris usually does it with the code changes, but I think we sent you the red line version and everything, so you guys have all of that, so I'm not going to read it all. What I will tell you the big changes are is we're adding something called a hydromechanical grease interceptor. It uses diverters and different things in the flow, in the way that it separates oil. And a lot of these tanks are plastic, and so they're cheaper and smaller. We did a year-long study at the Domino's East location, and it turned out very favorable. And so we're revamping the language to include these type of separators in there. And we're also including a preferred pumper program permit. I think we call it a permit in there so that we can get all the haulers that haul grease on the same page and make sure they're doing and providing the same type of service for the FSCs, so they know that the FSCs are getting what they need from the haulers. Is there any questions about anything that you saw in there? Or
First, from the board, Jim, you had a question?
Sort of. Just a clarification. What was just said was, as far as the haulers being on the same page, I'm not so sure what that means. Can you expound on that, or is there or writing somewhere that I could just verify that? Yeah, no, I'll explain kind of what we mean there. Right now, when they have a hauler come out to the food service to clean their grease interceptor, they don't all do the same type of service. Some of them will try to maybe put what they call the supernate, the water from when they sucked it out in the solids, back into the separator, which isn't good because a lot of times you put grease back into it. Some of them aren't knocking the grease off the side of the walls of the interceptor. We're going to kind of tell them what has to be done at a minimum. We're also going to, part of that program, we're going to require that they submit the grease hauling receipt to the utility for that. Right now, that's on the food service industry. We have 500 and, sorry, let me get the number here. 561 active food service industries. We only have 25 haulers. So it'd be much easier for us to kind of regulate and ask the haulers to do this instead of trying to keep track of 561 people or businesses that may be doing this. So we think it'd be advantageous, and it'd also be good for the FSCs because they're the ones that kind of are responsible for it. So if they don't do it, they're the ones that get a violation. And a lot of time they expect the hauler to do that, and they're just not doing it. A lot of the haulers now know that we asked for this, and so they're providing that as a service. And now we're just going to require them to do that. Thank you. Thank you, James. Or Mr. Hall.
Okay. Oh, Chris, did you have something to add?
Yes, I also, hi, Chris Wheeler, City Legal. Also, in a response to Jim's question, part of the permitting programs requirements will be prior to receiving a permit, the grease hauling company that wishes to do this type of work is going to need to take some sort of a class that's being put together by James and his crew. It's going to be some sort of a mandatory operator training class that will help all of the folks that are seeking permits in order to continue to do this work to be trained in how to properly remove the waste from the receptacles, proper maintenance of those receptacles, proper hauling of those of the waste materials, and proper disposal. They're finding, they being CBU staff members are finding that there are lots of different methods being employed that aren't necessarily best methods and best practices. So there's an educational component, and we're hoping to bring everybody up to a better standard of service for the food service industries. And lastly, I'll note that sort of higher standard will create a more effective grease interceptor or grease retention receptacle. It'll make it more effective in the field for the food service industry in keeping these greases out of our system in the first place. Those are my comments.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Wheeler, and I really appreciate that, and I agree with that. What has been your reaction with the haulers? Has there been any pushback or support?
No, we've already been speaking to them, and a lot of them that do a lot of business in the city already do a lot of the things that we've asked them to. Just now we want to make sure we get it in place so it's fair for all of them that we're requiring it, and there's some aren't doing it and some aren't.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate standardization. And just so that we're all clear, my role as liaison, I might ask a few questions, but I want to be clear so that in my position, I can support the Utilities Service Board and the Utilities Department as best as I can. So thank you for explaining that. I appreciate it.
And I'll expand a tiny bit on what Mr. Wheeler said. The training it'll be very short, so it's not going to take a lot of the haulers' time. We're looking at a 30 to 60-minute training, and it'll be once every 2 years. So we're not going to take a lot of their time. It doesn't cost any money for them. We're going to, they're just going to be required to do it to be able to haul grease to Dillman Road.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Chris Wheeler, did you have another comment? And then, okay, and I saw Megan Parmenter had indicated, and then Julie. Megan?
Thank you. So I see in the information that food service establishments have different requirements to do, say, 30 days for cleaning something or different days for that. How often do the FSCs have to have the grease traps pumped or cleaned by these service providers?
Well, if you have an outside interceptor, you're required every 3 months to do that. And then if we find that when we go out and we inspect them that they're not up to your discharging grease, and there's a number, 25% of the capacity, and the grease, these new ones, hydromechanical, they work a little different. But anyway, if they're over that, then we ask to be cleaned more often. The 30-day are smaller units that sit inside the FSC that require more frequent cleaning just because they're much smaller in size, and they can't hold the volume of grease that these larger outside units hold. So that's where you get the 30 days on those. Those are called the grease traps. That's the language that you see in the code.
Thank you.
Yes.
And Julie Roberts.
Just curious, James, will the trainings be only for one person from each of the hauling companies, or will each employee who actually runs one of the trucks and does the cleaning be required to do the training?
Jason Winning, who is our pre-treatment coordinator, I'm going to defer that question to him because I know we've talked about this and talked about a few different things. So I want to make sure that it's stated correctly. So Jason, could you please help me on this?
Yeah, so the plan right now is to have each hauler, each person actually running a truck will come in and be able to get this training. A lot of these are smaller haulers, so they only have maybe 3-4 employees who come in and sit down. And the big part is trying to catch these large national companies who come down from Indianapolis. They'll have a driver that'll run that route. Those drivers change over fairly often. And so it gets really difficult to try and get in contact with them and to get them on the same page. So this will kind of require them to come in, see how we do things, and know how to properly report to us.
I appreciate that, because if you only teach one person in the organization and then they're responsible for teaching everybody else, it can be like a game of telephone. So the more standardized the training is, the more effective it'll be.
Any other questions, comments? I had just one point I wanted to clarify in my head. I remember when we were talking about doing the study to see how these smaller hydromechanical interceptors might work, and would they be sufficient, do a good enough job. And I think I remember that one of the benefits maybe of using these systems is that they're a little less expensive for the restaurants, for the business. Is that the case? Okay,
Correct.
I think heads nodding.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is this change saying, we're going to allow these smaller systems to operate is actually going to be a benefit for business owners. So good.
Correct.
And if I could chime in real quick on that, Ms. Kapler, it's in the summary at the very end of the proposed resolution. It's actually at the end of the Exhibit A. There's a summary. And in that, we discuss the intent with these amendments is to hopefully have an economic impact that's beneficial to the food service industry as a whole by creating a more varied type of grease retention device that's acceptable to the program at CBU. It should have an economic impact that makes it more affordable for the food industry to be compliant with this program.
Thank you. And Mr. Kelson, you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to reinforce what Chris said. I think you may remember several years ago when I first came to CBU, one of the issues that we were constantly dealing with was restaurant owners and others that were upset about the grease interceptors, that it was quite a burden for them to bear. They were expensive to put in, difficult to locate because they had to be big and made of concrete. It was a program that put us in a lot of cases at odds with our regulated community, and there was a lot of concern about it. We've been very fortunate to have the opportunity to experiment with interceptors. The folks at Domino's came to us with an interceptor design that they've been using elsewhere. It's been through peer-reviewed research efforts and so forth, and it's been very successful for them. So when they came to us, we agreed to do the one-year trial at the Domino's, and it's been it's been a success for us and also for them, and it's put us in a position where we can expand the options for the regulated community and reduce the cost of compliance with the grease program. So, it's important. I just, at this point, I want to make sure that everybody understands that a lot of this is happening because we do listen to our customers and try to deal with the concerns that they have and answer the questions that they ask. The other thing I needed to say is that this needs to go to the council after the board finishes action on it.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm sorry, Gene, if I could jump in then and just give the board some understanding of that timeline. We are expected to hear back from council's attorney tomorrow to give us the official timeline, but we expect that this ordinance, if approved tonight, is very likely to be in front of council by October 21st for first reading. which means we would need to get this form of ordinance as recommended to council no later than the 12th of October. So coming right up, we'd still have another shot at it if we want to do any changes right now. If the board wishes to make any suggested changes, we could have another opportunity to look at it in 2 weeks. But that would sure be putting us up against a hard deadline. Doesn't mean we can't do it. I'm just letting you know that.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Sims, did I see your hand up?
Thank you. No, I just want to say and what Mr. Wheeler states is exactly right. I am part of the council leadership team, obviously, and we meet every Tuesday with scheduling. And we have we haven't scheduled anything, but this has been part of our scheduling decision. So what Mr. Wheeler says is exactly right. But what I wanted to say was, I think it will be helpful that when it's presented to the council, I would like to see a graph of some sort or the difference on the savings for our business owners. If there's any way that we can kind of have data, and I know it's different for every business probably, but if there's like what we think the savings will be, how much will this positively impact our business owners, our FSEs, I think would be helpful.
Okay. We know the cost of the units. The whole is the big variable that, they have to, but we can try to figure out a cost, a size of the hole that has to be dug for concrete, and then compare that to the size of a hole that has to be dug for the smaller units.
Oh, I appreciate that. And I think on average, if there's such a thing, and I don't doubt anyone's word, but it's one thing to say that we will be financially beneficial to the business owner, but it's quite another to have that somewhat documented, or something showing that to be the case and how beneficial that would be. And I know it won't be an exact science because we're just, I know that. But I'd like to have an idea of the actual savings and how this legislation could benefit the FSEs. Thank you.
Any other comments or thoughts? Okay, then seeing none, is there a motion to approve this proposed language for Title 10, Section 17 of the Bloomington Municipal Code?
So move.
Second.
And Latrina, can you please call the roll?
Sherman,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Kapler,
Yes.
Bannock.
Yes.
All right. That language is approved. Thank you. Next up, item 6, we have a bid opening for the residual basin improvement and road treatment plant. And I think that was going to be Brad. Is Brad on?
He's on. This is, are we unmuted?
Yes, he's with me, Jean, here in the room.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
This is Brad Schrader of the Engineer Department. This is the bid opening for the Monroe Residual Pumping Improvements Project. We have received 2 bids tonight, and I'm going to open those. These are lump sum bids for the project. We received bids until 5 o'clock this evening. Okay, the first proposal is from, try to get their name right, Striegel Design and Construction Incorporated, and their bid amount is for $559,376. That's Striegel Design and Construction Incorporated. The second bid is from Infrastructure Systems Incorporated, and their bid amount is $525,277.00. Those were the two bids we received tonight. We will review both packages and both bids with our engineer and come forward in 2 weeks with a recommendation for which one to select.
Thank you. All right. Let's see. At this point, I just want to remind the public that might be watching on our Facebook live stream that if you would like to make any public comment, now might be a good time to put those comments in the comment section on the Facebook Live. And then Holly McLaughlin will read those aloud during our petitions and communication section. All right, moving on to, is there any old business from the board? Any old business from staff? Oh, Mr. Wheeler? No? Okay. Any new business from the board? No new business from staff?
None.
Okay. And I don't believe there are any subcommittee reports tonight. Is that correct? All right. And so staff reports, Mr. Kelson.
Good evening. I just have a couple of things. The first one is that we've been going through a pandemic, but even so, CBU has continued to be moving ahead with all of our projects. And I want to take this opportunity to celebrate the completion of the advanced metering infrastructure project. And I'd especially would like to call out contributions of a group of current and retired employees who worked for hundreds and hundreds of hours over the last couple of years on the project. That's Troy Powell and Nancy Axum from engineering, Paula Dodds, Megan Danzig, Rance Fabish, Robin Guyton, and Triana Johnson. Oh, and Kim Trotter, all from finance, and Kenny Johnson in T&D meter service. And I also would like to thank the assistant directors, Laura Pettit, Brandon Prince, and Brad Schrader for their leadership on the project. It's been going on a long time. We have right now 138 meters remaining to be replaced. They'll all be replaced by CBU staff as our contractors completed their work. And I just wanted to say this kind of initiative was included in the 2016 rate case, which started just after I got here. So we've been working on it for a good long while. This is a transformative change for the utility beyond the obvious things of improving our billing efficiency and our billing accuracy. It's going to bring us a lot of detailed data that will help us make better decisions. It will also give our customers access to more data about their water use that will help them with their conservation efforts in the future. So I want to thank everyone who's been working on this project for the last couple of years. And if I forgot anybody's name, I apologize. And I also would like to thank the board for all your support of the whole initiative. It's been a long time coming, and I'm happy to be able to finally pound a stake in the ground and say this one's over with. Another thing that we get to pound a stake in the ground about, yes.
Jim?
Yeah, Vic, any expected date when users will be able to access their data?
Yes, we're getting ready to roll that out. We're working on a plan for that. Holly's going to be working with the mayor's office on some public information, things about that. And I know Laura's folks have been working on it. And Laura, do we have a final schedule for when we're going to really start the big rollout?
I don't have one for this meeting, but I should have one shortly. We've been working on it with our vendor on that.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Well, and Vic, I would just like to say, again, on behalf of the board, thank you to all of the staff that made this happen. And as a CBU customer myself, I'm really looking forward to having that customer portal. And, so I'm glad that it's gone as smoothly. And I know it's been a long time, but there's a lot of work. So thank you all.
Thank you. I do have one other thing, and that's also kind of pounding a stake in the ground. The PCB incinerator building at Winston Thomas is gone now, and that project was completed in about a week. So right now it just looks like dirt. So that project is done as well. I'm glad we've gotten that done, and appreciate the financial assistance from the Bloomington Police Department. They paid the lion's share of the cost of doing that, and I know it's going to help them at the site since they're right next door to it. And it's also become a real target for people out spray painting and putting graffiti on it. It's become a real nuisance. So thanks again to Chief Decoff and BPD for funding the effort, and I'm happy to say that that's been taken down. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Then we come to petitions and communications. Holly, is there any public input? I didn't quite catch that. I got some feedback on your response. I'm going to assume that there is no public comment. If there is, can you put a note in the chat box if I got that wrong? All right, and not seeing any comments? Oh, none. Okay, very good. Well then, is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.